I can die and be alone. Right. That's the thing.
So I agree with you, and so I'm gonna add my perspective, and based on a lot of the conversations I've had with women.
Let's do it. Love it.
You're right about that first part with women being we are in a time now where you can be extremely independent now, and there's pros and cons to that, right?
Yeah.
Hi guys, welcome to the TeleHmongPodcast. Today I'm your host John, and we have two special guests. Why don't we just go around and have you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Dani. Thank you so much, John, for having me. TeleHmong, I'm excited. Again, my name is Dani. I am a therapist by trade, but I do a bunch of different things. I love community advocacy. I love community work. I podcast as well. And, having ADHD, it really helps you be interested in a bunch of different things.
Yes. So, I'm back by popular demand. I've been here before. Happy to be back. Thanks again, Shua. I'm excited to have Dani. I met her a few weeks ago, and I was like, we have to have these conversations together because, it's going to be better to have a woman's perspective, and we're going to agree on things, and we're going to disagree on things, and that's okay. Let me know when we're jumping into it because, my gosh, we have a lot to talk about.
So let's dig right into it. So, relationship. I think, NV, last time when you were here, there was a lot of perspective on men, right? So, what do you think are the first thing you want to get into from the female's perspective on this?
Yeah, and that's what I would like to focus on. We'll go all over the place today, but hopefully we'll get into that, But yeah, the last time I was here, after the podcast, I actually got a lot of good feedback from people when I went to some events. And so one of the things they said to me, a lot of the guys that came up to me, they were like, gosh, you said a lot of the things, we think about, but you said a lot of these things that, nobody wants to talk about. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly the reason why I did it. So I got really excited about it. And it made me start thinking about, doing more of these things. And so when I saw you, I was like, oh, Dani is the perfect person to talk to about these things, to do more of a deep dive. And so that was kind of my whole goal. And so that's why I'm glad you agreed to come on.
Thank you. Yeah. Very honored. Very, very honored.
So emotions.
Okay.
All right.
Love it. Right off the bat.
I wanted to talk about emotions because I feel like sometimes we're living in this day and age now where everything is all about your feelings, and then we start to forget about objective truths. And so here's an example, right? Like what I see now a lot on social media, what I think affects a lot of women and even my, younger, older, is the concept of as soon as they hear something that aligns with their how they're feeling, and they flock to it. So, for example, Taylor Swift's comment, she made a comment recently. I don't know if you heard it, but she was all like, it was super popular. It went viral. You have to make your attention valuable, and so that people don't, you protect it. Not everybody can afford it, was her line. And so I want to know what you think about that line to say that.
Can I pull up Taylor's exact quote? Because I don't want to speak without knowing exactly what it is, right? But I have a thought on how women resonate with an emotion, and they all then tend to say, okay, this is my feeling about it. And again, not speaking for all women, right? But speaking from a woman's perspective, I think we tend to talk out loud about our emotions more than men, right? We talk about it, we share, we vent, we gossip, not in a negative way, but that's just how women express themselves, right? And so I think having other women resonate with your story or resonating with their stories is what we're talking about, right? And so I think as social media blows up, women are using this platform to express more. And that means other women are listening, right? And so they're able to resonate and say, I have a very similar feeling. And it might not be the same because we all have different experiences in life, but, patterns and behaviors as humans, right? We all have a brain, we all have a body. there's a wide spectrum, right? But it's all very similar. So we can all feel the same behaviors and patterns. That's why it can be studied, right? In an objective way. But feelings are subjective, right? What makes me happy might not make other people happy. What makes me sad might not make other people sad. So
let me be specific, because I know where you're going with this, and I like it. It's when people start starting to talk about like body positivity, to say things like, oh, it's okay to just be overweight and obese, things like that, right? And then other women flock to it and they say, oh yeah, girl power type of things, right? And the same thing happens to guys too, but I see it happening more with women, right? And so it gets to that level where, okay, what do is that the right message we want to send, right? And then that's people start flocking to those messages because they're comfortable with it. They align with it because maybe they don't want to go to workout. Maybe they don't want to take care of their health. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And so when Taylor Swift talks about, protecting your energy and, it's valuable and things like that, well, that's true to an extent. But like there's this saying, right, where you're only as valuable as the marketplace. Meaning you have a product, I have a product. Well, you could have a better product, but if people are buying my product, what does that say? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I mean by like we're kind of just, it's all over the place. And how do we align back to like just, oh, okay, because I'm the type of person who's always been about what works, right? Let's do what works. That's kind of my philosophy. And so that's my fear, because I see that happening now with like the youth and women especially. And then you start to have this. Maybe sometimes now we're talking about, to bring it back to dating relationships, then we start to have these negative feelings towards it, right? Your bad experiences, people start talking about their bad experiences in dating relationships, so people complain, make excuses, and now we have this conflict, right? And so that's kind of why I was bringing it up, because that's what I'm trying to, that's the core of the message, is like, all right, there's this competing viewpoints, right? There's, okay, my energy is valuable, I'm going to protect it, right? But what if nobody wants your energy, because you don't see that because you just went with Taylor Swift's quote, oh, I'm just valuable. My energy's protected. But, so you see what I'm saying? There's this dichotomy.
I do. I absolutely see it, right? And so protecting your energy. I love this, because I'm where I am because I started learning about energy, right? And what is energy? There's a lot of different things. How are you defining energy?
For me, it's just simply just my time.
Okay.
I simply define it as my time,
Sure.
and the type of people I align with, and that type of vibration and energy, as they're using that term now.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by that.
Okay.
And so I think that's what she was intending in her quote, which is this concept of, you're not for everybody, but how do you know that not everybody is Taylor Swift? Which is to say, if that's the message people are leading with, well, you're not even being chosen. Think about that, right? And that's the kind of thing I always talk to guys about. Like, let's be careful about all these excuses we like to use before, we recognize, that we can, attain something or accomplish something, because we do that a lot as just humans in general. We put a lot of barriers in front of ourselves before we even move forward, and I'm like, let's not add more barriers, and that's the kind of thing that I'm always trying to pay attention to with, gosh, everybody just posting quotes now on social media. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you see that too? Like, everybody's posting quotes left and right. I'm like, dude, are you living like that? Are you attempting to be like that? Or is this just, I mean, I know it makes you feel good, but how about we do something with that? You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of like my thing, and I've been noticing lately. So I just wanted your take on that.
I mean, it makes me think, has that been, because in your occupation as a therapist, has that kind of mentality been more occurring?
The mentality of protecting your energy?
Yeah.
Yes, but I feel like, yeah, it is becoming more of...
As it relates to dating relationships, let's be specific.
Okay.
Narrow it down.
Yeah.
Because I feel like,
okay,
that's what she meant.
Okay.
Yep.
So as in protecting your energy in dating, I think it is becoming more of a thing because women are becoming more independent, right? In 2025, women own corporations, right?
So my question
They're
to you...
leading.
True. And my question to you, is that helping or hurting your dating relationships, being this boss chick type mentality, that we're talking about?
I think you get to be pickier. right? And this is the thing. Some women are completely okay knowing that they will never end up in a marriage or have children. They're okay dying alone. And so am I going to be like, you're wrong? No. But also, do I want that for me? Yeah, I do. I want to get married, right? I want to have children. I want that in my life. But am I just going to let anybody marry me or have children with me? No. Right. So I get to be pickier because I can be independent. I know I can die and be alone. Right.
So
that's the thing.
So I agree with you, and so I'm gonna add my perspective and based on a lot of the conversations I've had with women.
Let's do it. Love it.
You're right about that first part with women being we are in a time now where you can be extremely independent now, and there's pros and cons to that, right?
Yeah.
And so the information, though, I don't think that's being ingested enough. That's being exposed enough that women need to hear, right? Something that I know you're aware of that you've already spoke to me about, which is women have a biological clock.
Yeah.
So if you move in that fashion, there's pros and cons, and so women don't always weigh that out, And just because of this mentality, sometimes we have bad information, or you're just living in this independent now style society, right? My issue with that is when you think about human beings in general, we are tribal village type people, right? And so, and what makes Hmong people very unique and different is the fact that we just recently transitioned here, right? Mm-hmm. So it's actually kind of a cool study if you think about it in terms of where we've come from.
Yeah.
And so a lot of women are preaching this, independent, strong type thing. But what happens is what I've seen is, man, a lot of them end up lonely. And a lot of them, make bad decisions. And I've dated a lot of women in different socioeconomic places, bosses, CEOs, VPs. The theme I always get is this, Dani. And so this is the core. This is why I'm really concerned about this, is that they always come back to the same thing. And they never want to broadcast this out loud, but through behind closed doors, what they'll always share with me is just it always comes back to family. It always comes back to kids, and that's the message that I actually would like to project more. I wish that women and men both do, but we forget that because we're living in this new society now where independent boss chick, that's the mentality, and so we lose so much though. I'm telling you, this is not through just anecdotal evidence, but there's a lot of data to support this too. We have one of the largest companies, Morgan Stanley, did studies on this already. They're catering to that demographic that you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's a scary thing. They know the outcome already, and so they're planning ahead to cater for those types of women.
Absolutely.
Right? Which is to say that what they projected is there's going to be a lot of lonely women. And I don't want that, for them. I don't want that for guys too, and so that's my mission is to be able to go out there. Is how do we bring people together, connect, and so to stop having this independent kind of mentality and think more about how can we work more together, because there's a disconnect right now.
And V, when you said that the one thing that it all comes together is family, you mean like starting a family or having children, or what does that mean?
Both of those, all of those, encompasses all of that.
Yeah.
When you're, what they've always told me. And this is what their grandma tells you too, and tells me is just when you're on your deathbed, what do you think? What are you looking back on? Dani, is it the promotion you got at work? Is it you're climbing the ladder? No, you're going to look back and say, oh my gosh, it's that. If you have it, if you have a family, if you have a child, it was your siblings, it was all those things. That's the thing that really matters. And we forget that in this day and age because we're living in this time where it's all about me, independent type things. We are better together. But we're not acting like that in that fashion, and that's the problem. Mm-hmm. And so this is the thing that I want to start kind of encouraging, right? It's like this is to men and women. It's like how do we talk in a manner where we're let's move away from that and let's move more to this is even our cultural roots, right?
So again, I totally agree. I love family and I love my family. I would never want my family to say, oh, you're not a part of us anymore, because that would kill me. But I am not saying like I'm arguing against women being independent or men being independent, right? I'm all about you being independent, whatever you want, right? So, but for the sake of this argument of bringing people together and saying should we put aside our differences and what are we trying to say, right? Like okay, women feel very independent and they feel like I don't need a man. I get to be picky, right? But how do we lower our guards, right? As women, it's how do we take our ego out of it and say, okay, this man right? I want to date him, but women get to pick too, right? It's not all just about the man, right? Consent, y'all. That's what I mean. Consent. Because if a woman or a man declines you, you must take that no. Because the thing is, women do ask men out on dates. Men can say no, and men do say no, right? The thing is, our society as Hmong people, right? We are built on a patriarchy, right? And so I know culturally, I will always respect my dad and my brothers, but I know I will always respect my mom and my sisters too, because I am human, right? So if I respect my fathers or my father and my mother, then I'm going to respect my siblings as well. Because if you see everyone as humans, then that's just a respect, right? And you can respectfully decline dates, man or woman.
Yeah.
Right? So are we saying like women can't be picky, or are we saying they should just accept all advances?
No, we're not talking about that just yet, but I do want to talk about
Okay.
it. We're talking about the narrative of this push of this, constantly, because I agree with you. Do whatever you want. I'm just saying though that what's happening is as we do what we want, especially as women are doing what they want, they're choosing this path of, I don't need to have kids yet. I can wait. Again, but biology says no, you can't. And then it's I can wait. I can freeze my eggs. I can be choosy. Again, what I've learned through a lot of my experiences, is women have the illusion of choice. What does that mean? Now, when I say that, the illusion of choice means there's a lot of guys that will want to be with you, but there's not a lot of guys that you want to be with. Does that make sense?
Who's the illusion for then?
What do you mean?
Because that's not an illusion for women. That's right.
Let me say this differently. Women have a lot of guys that want to have sex with them.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of guys that women want to be with in a relationship.
Right.
So which is to say, yeah, you have a lot of options with guys that want to have sex with you, but you rarely want to have, it's very limited when it comes to the guy that you actually want to be with. Does that make sense? And whereas if we flip the script around, it's a very different for guys. It's complete opposite. You have to stand out, have to have certain qualities and traits to even be, in the running. And so I teach guys to figure out those concepts, those traits, the best version of themselves to do that. But just to stay on the point though, that's what I mean by that's the narrative that's going to keep happening because you have this choice, right? But again, the choice is the illusion. That's what I'm trying to say, because it's not actually what you want. You have those options, but it's not actually what you want as a woman. And I've had these conversations so many times with women, and they tell me all the time.
So let me see if I'm getting this right. You're saying the men who approach women, right? They should pick from that pool who are approaching them versus the one that they think they want.
No. I'm not talking about that at all.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that because of the options, women choose the narrative of, I can just wait. I can just get old and be independent and just kind of just date throughout my whole life.
Right.
If you lead that way, if you keep doing that, just fine. I'm not telling you not to do that. I'm just saying at the end of the road, what typically happens, times are just a little bit different.
Yeah.
And you start to think about in your life, and you start thinking, what is important?
Yeah. I see where you're getting at now. So let's say a woman, I'm going to use me as an example because I'm 34, I'm single, not married, no children, want to get married, want to have children, right? So for biological sense, right, I am running out of time, right? But am I taking the measures that, allow me to become a mom? Right. And so for me personally, motherhood isn't about having my own children. It is about raising children. Right. So that could be through adoption. That can be through anything, right? Any avenue. And so that means I get to pick my partner who aligns with those values rather than just say, this person wants to have children, this person is a good person, and I sort of tolerate them, right? Versus I love this person, we are growing together, and we are going to evolve together, and our goal is to raise children, right? Regardless of coming from me, coming from him. It can be a blended family. We're looking at different families now, right? Because what if I was divorced and I had children, right? A lot of opportunities for me, there's stigma against women, divorced women with children. So, right, they have limited options too, right? But let's say, again, focusing on me, I'm not limited on options if I open up my mind into thinking of adoption, into fostering, into
let's say
IV and all that, right?
Yeah, and I think the push, what's happening with a lot of people is, let's say that person comes into that woman's life. The man of their dreams comes into their life, right? And they're 20 plus years old, 23 years old. Well, they'll say, hey, I got time. I can wait, And then they get push, and, that mentality is what I'm talking about.
I don't think a girl has ever said, this is my dream man, I'm gonna push him away. I don't think any woman has ever said, this is my dream man, he needs to get the fuck out of my life. I don't think that's ever happened. Prove me wrong, ladies. Let me know, because
but she might say, I'm not ready for family yet. She might say, I'm not ready for kids yet.
That's appropriate.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
that is very appropriate. Yeah. And so, who are we to say, if we're allowing men to say, if you're not ready for children and a family, go ahead and wait. Why don't we extend that same grace to women? Right? So let's say maybe not now. Maybe she doesn't want to get married, and that's up to her, right? And that's, again, consequences.
Because the reason why we can't extend it is in the way that you're thinking is because, again, they have a biological clock.
Yeah, fair.
That's the reason why.
She should know then too. That comes with consequences, right? If you are going to prolong this
but it's an afterthought.
Choose this.
That's
right?
what I'm saying.
I don't think it's an afterthought. I think a lot of women think about it already, but they're willing to sacrifice that to pursue something bigger than just family, just societal obligations, right? Because as a Hmong community, we think that is the way, right?